everybody. This is ChasingCinema.com's official podcast, and we welcome you to our 100th, 19th episode. Wow, we have made it nearly a whopping 120. And as always, we thank you for joining us and downloading this podcast, whether you're listening to it in the car, on your way home from school, from work, or even at work, whatever it may be. Maybe you're just browsing your computer and listening to us.
Well, not at work.
No, if you're doing that work, well, people work in their cubicle and they just like listen, you know?
Okay.
Typing away. Either way, we are very grateful. However, if this is your first time joining us here at the Chasing Cinema podcast, let me introduce myself. I am one of your co-hosts, Jacob Toronto, and I'm joined by my loyal, faithful co-host / best friend,
Louis Corzolo.
And we here at ChasingCinema.com just like to sit and talk about the world of motion pictures. First, me and Louis are going to talk about, catch up, see how each other's been doing, see what we've been watching, see what any updates or what's going on in the world of movies. Then we're going to move to movie news, and we will wrap up with the main movie review, which this week will be As Above, So Below. Lou.
Jake.
First week of school, so I know
Yes.
you've been buried in books and nonsense.
Already, I have.
So, what have you been watching? Have you been able to watch anything? You've been doing anything in the TV? Anything?
Luckily, leading up the weekend before school, I was able to accomplish a lot of watching, buying, and because I'm still in my summer mode, even though I should be knee deep in books and studying, I've been kind of taking it easy and watching some movies. So I have a couple of films I want to talk about fast, and a new TV show I started. So let's get right to it. Last podcast we talked in depth about Robin Williams and his many, many great films.
Absolutely.
And we talked about how we wanted to continue watching some of his films. Well, after watching Mrs. Doubtfire, Nancy, my sister, and I were talking about other movies we want to watch, and she brought up Jumanji. I didn't own a DVD copy of Jumanji, only had the VHS, so I ran to Best Buy, picked up a copy on Blu-ray, and we decided to watch Jumanji that night. And again, I know if you want to listen about what we have to say about the great Robin Williams, definitely check out last week's podcast. But Jumanji, like we said, excuse me, it's classic Robin Williams, full of joy, fun, and heart. It will make you laugh and laugh and laugh. And even towards the very end, even though the movie's an easygoing, fun kids flick, good for every age of the family, it gets sentimental towards the end, especially with Robin Williams characters, as a young son seeing his father again after years apart, and then seeing those kids, the young Kristen Dunst and her younger brother come back. And it gets very sentimental, but that's a very enjoyable film, and it was fun watching that again. I haven't seen that film for a long, long time.
I was scheduled to watch this movie. I have a movie night with our dear friends Eric and Sherry, who were guest hosts for the Jaws podcast we had in our very, very early stages.
We need them on again.
Yeah, we were going to watch Jumanji, but instead we ended up watching Death to Smoochie, a fun film. I didn't like it as much as I did remember the first time watching it, but it's still fun and still worth a watch. What else you been watching, buddy? Oh, sorry, I didn't even talk about Jumanji. But Jumanji, yes. Jumanji still makes me laugh. There's a lot of good parts, but I will admit that I have not sat down and watched Jumanji in its entirety in a very, very long time, so it's definitely worth going to revisit.
Oh, absolutely.
But I will always remember my favorite character of that movie, Carl, the cop.
I was just going to bring him with that up.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's so funny.
Yeah, very funny, and you feel bad for him, man. That guy is in the wrong place at the wrong time, countless of times.
I remember him screaming and
and then just seeing and I just want to point out the graphics for the film. Boy, it is dated. I'm not gonna lie, because the CGI chimpanzees look nothing. Of course, it doesn't look anything like Caesar in the new Planet of the Apes film, but it's a far cry. It's like, wow, look how far we've come. It's you could mock and laugh at it because it doesn't look as good, but that was still fun to see. And moving on, I'm a big Adam Sandler fan, if you know me. I like his classic films from the 90s. even to mid 2000s, and I like his terrible films. Even I did hate Grown Ups too. I can't give him any credit. When the best part is Stone Cold Steve Austin, and God knows we love Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he should not be your best part of the film. But I do like That's My Boy and his other not so good films. So I decided to catch up on a recent Adam Sandler film that we both missed in the theaters, and that's Blended, reteaming with Drew Barrymore, a new romantic comedy. And watching Blended, you do realize that Adam Sandler is in a new point of his career, that he's not going to make any more clicks, it seems like, or Big Daddies, or even Happy Madisons. He's in a whole different approach, and his comedy has definitely got a single-minded, and Blended is a mixed bag. You get good moments, good funny moments that's good for the whole family, typical Adam Sandler humor, but you also get moments that are so bad it becomes cringeworthy. And I was just sitting there thinking, it's kind of a disappointment, but at the same time, it could be worse. It could be Grown Ups 2 all over again, which is not. Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore still have great chemistry with one another, and it's fun. And even if you're really a diehard fan of The Wedding Singer and 50 First Dates, they give you throwbacks for those films. They give you, I don't want to spoil it if you're gonna watch it, but there's a couple scenes where they allude to characters from those films, which is great for any fan.
I know one for sure.
Yeah, it was just like, oh my God, that's amazing. I can't believe that just happened, and that was cool to see. It's a take it or leave it film. See it if you like Adam Sandler. It's fun for what it is, but nothing like Big Daddy. But that shouldn't surprise any of us because it got killed by the critics. Didn't do too well at the box office either, and it's that stage of his career where Adam Sandler says, "You know what? I'm going to make a film. I'm going to get paid X amount of money. Let's go to Africa to film." And look, you can't hate on that logic.
I was not a fan. I've not been a fan of Adam Sandler's work as of late. Mm-hmm. Even though I think That's My Boy does have some moments that I think were fun. Sometimes it is hard to kind of let go of the 90s Adam Sandler that we all hold so close to our hearts. Mm-hmm. However, I would say out of everything that he's done, besides Big Daddy, the best films that he produces usually are with, not produces as in literally produce like a producer, but produces as in makes, is with Drew Barrymore. I love 50 First Dates, and I also really, really love The Wedding Singer. So seeing them team up again, I thought was very interesting. It's something that I thought I'd like to watch. That is something I'd like to see. Though I have missed it and have not watched it since, and hopefully I will get to track down and watch it, though I am kind of afraid of what I'm going to get into. But definitely, Wedding Singer and 50 First Dates are some of my favorites. And, I wasn't so angry with Just Go With It. Was that the title with Jennifer Aniston?
Yeah, that actually was okay. That was
so. It really depends on where his humor is, and I'm not sure exactly what Adam Sandler's been doing lately, and why his comedy's getting so much more lowbrow than it used to be. You would think that the older he got, the more dramatic he'd want to go, or kind of stick to what he enjoys. But I guess he enjoys the lowbrow stuff. Mm-hmm. But these movies now were worse than the earlier films that he did before.
Oh yeah, Just Go, and I'm glad he mentioned Just Go With It, because Blended kind of reminds me of Just Go With It.
When I saw the trailer, that's what it kind of reminded me of.
Same type of film. If you like Just Go With It, you're probably going to like Blended. But if you did not like that film, you're not going to like this.
Was Blended better than Just Go With It?
I would have to say no.
Okay.
Just because when you have Barrymore and Sandler again in the same film, you can't help but think about The Wedding Singer, which is classic, and 50 First Dates, which is really, really good. And Blended does not live up to those standards. And Just Go With It. It was, a one-time deal with Jennifer Aniston. That was pretty cool to see. It's still fun. Go check it out. You chuckle. You laugh. This is Adam Sandler.
Did you rent this or what?
Yeah, we rented it.
Okay.
And it was I don't know, Jake. Stop criticizing.
I'll watch it when it comes to Netflix.
Absolutely. I just did you like bedtime stories?
You know, I watched Bedtime Stories, and I remember that being like one of the most hated films of of that year, and everyone was saying how terrible it was. I watched it, and I didn't think it was that terrible, but I didn't like it. No, I remember. I barely remember what it was about, but I remember the gerbil or the guinea pig with the big eyes was kind of weird. I don't know. I didn't think it was a terrible premise though. Yeah. But then again, I really don't remember it.
See, so. I didn't mind that film. There's something about Adam Sandler.
I don't think I didn't mind it as much as other people. But Adam Sandler has made some movies that I'm like, woof, that I can't watch.
Grown-ups 2, yeah.
I've not watched Grown-ups 2.
You should.
What's the movie that he's done that I really can't stand? I'm not sure because I kind of.
You're gonna right here. I'm just gonna lay everything out on the table because once I say this film and say, you know what, I kind of like this film, like as a guilty pleasure, you're gonna say, okay, this kid is sick. There's something wrong with Louis, and I'm not gonna argue with that. I even liked You Don't Mess with the Zohan. I like that film.
There is something wrong with you.
For whatever reason, I dig it. I thought I would watch that again.
Yeah, something wrong with you.
I know.
I remember really disliking Hotel Transylvania. I remember
didn't see that one.
Really disliking Funny People.
Yeah, you did not like that. I've yet to see that one.
I've watched clips of Zohan when I worked at Hollywood Video. We had to play that, and I hated it.
That's why you hated it. Because
Jack and Jill was terrible.
Jack and Jill was terrible.
Besides Pacino. Mm-hmm. I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, I think, was his last really, really good movie.
Yeah.
And that was in 2007. Oh, 7. No, that's not true then. Just go with it. Well, yeah, just go as it wasn't amazing.
No.
Sorry, this list is out of order. I don't know why I clicked on here. But yeah, I would say that was probably my last favorite of his, though. Like, That's My Boy was okay. You know, nothing spectacular. I've never seen Spanglish, and a lot of people have told me Spanglish is an amazing. See, Samantha says the same thing, so I have to sit down and watch that. Anger Management is all right.
I like Anger Management a lot.
The one movie that I love that not many people talk about when they talk about Adam Sandler is surprising. I love 8 Crazy Nights, the animated film the animated musical that he did. Bulletproof is a movie that I liked from way back when, but I mean, this is all, I'm getting older and older, and I don't know, not a fan.
Yeah, you need to check out Spanglish because again, it's not an Adam Sandler movie that you come to know of Adam Sandler. You know, it's really, really good, and you can't really picture Adam Sandler in it, and he's funny, he's dramatic, he's serious. It's a good performance by him.
Yeah, I will have to watch that. I know you're a big fan of Punch Drunk Love too. Which again, embarrassingly enough, is a film that I've not seen.
And again, that's another film he's in it, but it's not an Adam Sandler film. You know, it's not.
What did you think about Reign Over Me?
I liked it. Honestly, you know, I guess it could have been overly dramatic, and yes, dealing with the topic. You know, it's not cheap at pulling at your heartstrings, but it doesn't have to try too hard to do it because the topic is so fresh still. It hurts and affects a lot of people still. But I thought it was a different approach for Adam Sandler, a performance that he hasn't given before. And I thought he did a more than decent, better than average job at it, you know. I haven't seen it since it came out.
Yeah, so. I remember buying it on DVD and just watching it once or twice, and I remember thinking, like, wow, I hope... I didn't like so much the movie, but I liked his performance. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm looking right now, and he's... After I Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, they were all, if anything, just okay movies. Because after we have Chuck and Larry, we had Zohan, The House Bunny, which he wasn't a main character in, Bedtime Stories, Paul Blart, Funny People...
Paul Blart was probably a cameo, wasn't?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same thing with House Bunny. Grown Ups, which first one wasn't terrible, but I didn't love it either. Just go with it. Was the same thing. Zookeeper, he plays one of the animals. Yeah. Bucky Larson, Born to Be a Star. I haven't seen. You never saw Zookeeper?
No.
I saw Zookeeper. It was okay. Jack and Jill was not okay. That's My Boy was more on the okay side. Yes. Hotel Transylvania, woof. Grown Ups 2. I have not seen
Double Wolf,
and then Blended. So yeah, I don't know, but I am very interested to kind of see. I don't know. I want to watch it just because I like them a lot. So, but anyway, moving on. What else have you been watching lately?
Big news. this is big news for me because you've been following this podcast. You know, I'm a TV junkie. I need a TV show to keep me occupied between movies, between school. I need something to be glued to. And after watching Dexter and Scandal and all that, I haven't had a new TV show to follow. So gearing up for the Emmys, I decided I need to start a new show. And instead of getting into a show that has like 6 seasons already, 7 seasons, I went with a show that just wrapped up its 3rd season. And I went with the comedy from HBO, Veep, starring Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I bought the first 2 seasons on Blu-ray, and I plowed through them like nobody's business. And I could tell you, I actually love Veep. It is smart, witty, clever, funny, fast-paced. It's comedy how it's supposed to be, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus kills it. She's so amazing. She was phenomenal in Seinfeld. She was great in Enough Said, and she is perfect in Veep. Her character, Selena Meyer, is a crazy, crazy character, and she's just perfect in a row. It gives me more reason to love this woman. If you like the wit and the fast paced of 30 Rock, and you like kind of the setup of The Office, the American version, the setup, the interworking relationships between boss and employees, then you're gonna love Veep because it's a hybrid of those two shows. And with Dreyfus running the show, you can't do wrong with that. And she won her 2nd consecutive Emmy. 2nd consecutive, excuse me, for Veep. She won first season and she won this year. So I've
been wanting to watch that ever since my cousin Georgie mentioned it to us back when. So I'll have to check it down. I think it's on Amazon Prime right now. So I'll try to track that down and we'll get that watched. But definitely, big fan of Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I've mentioned it multiple times. The film, Enough Said, was really amazing, and I just find her very charming and very lovable.
And again, she's very lovable, very charming. And when you watch her, and especially in Veep, you're gonna realize you're watching like one of the last true talented female comic actress we have. You know, when you think of Gilda Radner from SNL, Lucille Ball back in the day, but Dreyfus is like our generation's Lucille Ball because she's not afraid to be ugly. She's not afraid to make fun of herself. She's not afraid to be a fool. She does anything to get a good laugh, and it's so fun to watch her.
Definitely have to check that out. All right. Well,
and the supporting characters are great too, by the way. So that's it.
I will have to give it a watch, and we'll be able to talk more about it. On the other side of the spectrum, I saw 2 movies that I've been dying to see, and ones that have been being talked a lot about with the award loops and things that have been really highly acclaimed this year. One was a movie that I obviously wanted to see more for my personal self. It was actually a documentary about one of my heroes, and that's Life Itself. Life Itself is a documentary about the life and career of film critic Roger Ebert. Me and Louis did a podcast called Remembering Roger some time ago. If you've not listened to it, please listen to it. It was really good kind of sum up of why we were such big fans of Roger Ebert and why me and Louis do what we do is kind of definitely have been inspired by Roger. I've read pretty much every Roger Ebert book there is, except the exception, in full. I've read parts of this book is... I wish I had the title. The ways to use the rice cooker and the ways to use use the rice cooker. That is definitely one that I will have to watch and finish. But this movie, if you are a fan of Roger Ebert, then watch the movie. You're going to enjoy it. If you don't feel like you would be interested to watch this man's journey, then I'm sure this may not be the movie for you. But being us, of course, huge fans and very, very amazed by how far they went as far as stardom by being film critics. It's really amazing to watch unfold and really, really touching moments because this documentary was happening before he passed away. And his passing is kind of happening as the movie goes on and he's talking. And there are times when the director of the film, Steve James, is writing him, emailing him questions, and, he says, I'm too tired today, and this, and, he comes back, and he's feeling good, and then he goes back, and it's quite a heartbreaking moments, especially moments with him and Chaz Ebert, his wife, and there's some really, really touching moments, and really moments that will kind of open you up more to who he was and things like that. Like, I didn't know his younger life of him. He was an alcoholic, and I've heard that, and I never really knew the extent of it. They do go very deeply into it in here, and more of his eagerness to be such a great writer. There's an amazing story about him, and when he was publishing a paper when JFK was shot. There's an amazing story. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but just check it out. It's a really, really beautiful film about an amazing man who really, really changed the world of film criticism.
He is film criticism.
Yeah, he is. You could watch it on demand, I think. I think it's even on Amazon Prime Instant Video, so go check that out. Great, great film. Now, last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I kind of saved it for when me and you will be able to sit and talk and have some time. I saw Boyhood, finally, by Richard Linklater, and this is a film that everyone's been talking about because it was filmed over 12 years. It basically follows a young man named Mason young boy from age 5 to being a young man at age 18. You have Patricia Arquette and Ethan Hawke in the film, and a lot of people are calling it the best movie of the year so far. And I watched this movie, and I was genuinely surprised on how touching and heartfelt and so real that people are asking. Actually, we've had some people even on Facebook and Twitter ask where the review is for it. But because I have this, I think we both have this feeling that this movie's definitely be around major talks for the award season later this year, that I've decided
to be redistributed.
Yeah, that I'm going to hold off my review till later the end of the year. But let me tell you, this movie is not something you watch; it is something you experience. There's nothing about it that is too Hollywood or too underplayed. Everything is so pure and feels so real. It feels like, wow, I had a friend who kind of lived like that, or even you, maybe I grew up like that, and it just seems very real and very, very honest. And like I said, it's not something you watch, it's something you experience. I honestly could tell you, because Mason is so close to our age range, it was like growing up all over again. And I know that kind of sounds cliche and maybe a little bit wordy for people, but it really is. It is such an experience that it really is like growing up again. And, and when we start with Mason at age 5, the music they're listening to and the things that they're watching, you're like, wow, I remember doing this. And as he grows older and he faces different challenges in his life, I believe there are so many that your friends or your family or even you can relate to more than you'd think. And like I said, the one thing I appreciated, nothing was over Hollywood. Nothing was like cheesy or seemed like, this was written, it felt very, very real and very honest. So I am amazed, and I won't say what place because I want to kind of hold off how much I love this film, but I will say that it is in my now top 5 favorite films of all time, or not of all time, of the year so far. But definitely a movie that I recommend everyone seeing. It is hard to track down. It was here for 4 days. I think it's back right now for a couple more days. It's only playing in 2 theaters in Vegas. It was Green Valley Ranch and Suncoast, and I think it's back now, but it's very hard to track down right now.
Well, I'm glad you liked it because I definitely want to see this film. I have high hopes for this film. And the crazy thing about this, I remember, going back to at least a couple of years, every time I check, from movie news, I go on Collider, IMDb, and they would give you an update. Oh, link later, Ethan Hawke filming Boyhood again every year. And so I've been aware of this film for some time now, and it's crazy that no one has ever thought about doing this before for a film. Especially back in the day. You're going to say something.
I was going to say that, yeah, and from what I heard that at first it wasn't going to be just one movie. It was supposed to be a bunch of different films, and then it just kept happening and being delayed, whatever it was, and it just kept going for a long, long time. But I know it's been around and talked about for quite some time.
Yeah, so, I love the idea, I love the concept, and it's almost like a documentary, because we are watching this boy grow up into a young adult, and even though they are playing characters, every performance has some truth behind it, and to see this kind of acting / somewhat documentary of this kid growing up right before our eyes, it's definitely an experience. I heard the soundtrack is phenomenal.
The soundtrack is phenomenal, and it is very nostalgic. But like I said, it's really hard to kind of put my finger on it. But, there is something, like I said, I really would recommend you watching this in a theater as well. But it is an experience. It is something that is very kind of seems to be harder to come by as of late, but it's something that you don't just watch and you kind of observe. It's like something you're a part of. And it not only does it make you feel like you've watched someone grow up and you've become family with these people, but it literally feels like it's your family. It feels like it's your life and growing up again. And I was so moved by it. And it's so subtle. Like, there's nothing that's like, oh, it's that moment in the film where you're like, oh. Even Samantha, while we were watching the film, leaned over to me and said, oh, it's going too good. Something bad has to happen. And it didn't follow that formula. Like, it was just like regular life. Like, sometimes life's really good, sometimes it's not. But it wasn't like, oh, it's good, now it's bad. It's bad, it's bad. Oh, okay, we fixed it. It's not like that at all, and I really like that they didn't follow that formula. Not saying Boyhood's the first movie to break formulas like that, but this movie especially, I was so glad that they didn't do that because it felt so real, and it really made the movie feel like, again, someone that you grew up with, or if not you. So, very, very amazing. I'm going to be writing my review about it, but like I said, I'm kind of waiting for the end of the year because I feel it'll be much more talked about and much more widely seen when it comes out to DVD in late November. So that'll be it. So, we're going to hop over to movie news. Lou's going to break us down some interesting stuff, and then we're going to review As Above, So Below.
Absolutely. So let's jump right in. And of course, what's a movie news recap without mentioning something about the Jungle Book origins? And again, I know last week I mentioned that Andy Serkis has grabbed his first star in Benedict Cumberbatch, and this past week they confirmed other stars. So joining Cumberbatch and Andy Serkis' Jungle Book origins is Christian Bale, Cate Blanchett. So that's pretty cool.
Two great names. Can't go wrong.
So there you go. That's all I want. I'm not going in depth in this because
we've talked about it so much. Yeah.
It's when I saw this news, I'm like, oh no, I have to mention this again on the podcast. Come on. But Kristen Bale, Cumberbatch, and Blanchett. That's pretty good compared to the other group too. That's a really strong cast.
Jungle Book may be one of the best movies of the year.
With that, and then you have the other one, Jon Favreau, which is star-studded as well. So that's very cool indeed. Next
year, Academy Awards going to be all Jungle Book themed. Because
imagine
what nominated for Best Picture? The Jungle Book. Jungle Book.
That'd be something else. Yeah. Well, definitely with special effects, that could be the case.
Absolutely.
So time will tell.
What else we got?
Moving on. For a long, long, long time, there's been much speculation about a Richard Pryor biopic in the works. We've heard many names: Eddie Murphy, Anthony Mackie, this and that. Well, finally, about 2 days ago, so the 27th or so, there's been confirmation by Legendary, by Collider, that not only is Lee Daniels taking over for the biopic, is going to direct it, but the man starring as Richard Pryor is going to be Mike Epps.
Wow.
Wow is right. Haven't heard much from Mike Epps in a long, long time. So for him to come in and soup this role is pretty impressive because he was going up against Michael B. Jordan, Eddie Murphy again, Marion Wayans, Chris Rock even was at one point attached. So, Mike Epps, I guess, blew them away in the audition tape.
I'm really excited because I've always kind of been a fan of Mike Epps ever since I saw All About the Benjamins. Mm-hmm. And he was very funny, but I saw stand-up and I wasn't a fan. And I think it's very interesting that, him never really being a star either of his own films, always kind of being a co-star or a side character, take this role is going to be interesting to watch. So, that's one of those things that's like, I hope he kills it. And but as of right now, to me, that sounds more of like I hope this works because I've always been a big fan of Richard Pryor. I love Richard Pryor, and I do like Mike Epps. So I think it'll be a very interesting combination. I just hope that they make this story with a lot of heart because this movie could be really great.
Well, yeah, you're definitely right. It is interesting because Lee Daniels is directing the film, who's, people loved his work in Precious, not so much The Butler. So that's very, interesting choice right there. And Mike Epps, man, He is funny. That man can make you laugh, and he definitely, you think he has the energy and the comedic chops to land Richard Pryor. So hopefully everything else falls in place for him. And also, Oprah Winfrey has a role in this film too.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I think the character is called Lady Pimp, if I'm correct. I don't know too much about that, but that's an interesting cast already.
That is. It's a very interesting cast and something I'm very looking forward to see. All right, Lou, what else you got?
Okay, we got 2 more. Coming up. Now, I don't remember talking about this on the podcast. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But they are rebooting. It's a reboot/sequel to the Vacation series.
I think we mentioned. I don't know if we mentioned on the podcast, but I know we talked about it.
Okay, so it's the Horrible Bosses and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball, 2 scribes. John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein is writing the script and are making the directorial debuts with this film. Ed Helms, famed from The Hangover, of course, and The Office, is playing the grown Rusty Griswold. So that's very interesting. And he's planning to take his own family out on a road trip that's somewhat similar to what he experienced growing up. There's reports that Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo is going to have a cameo as Clark, and I forgot her name and Ellen. Clark and Ellen Griswold in the film. But the Hollywood Reporter also announced this week that there's 2 more stars planning to join the cast, and that is Chris Hemsworth is looking to play the husband of the sister, and the very funny Charlie Day is in talks for a supporting role in this film as well.
Very interesting.
A very interesting group you got there. You got Thor, you got Charlie Day, and then you got Ed Helms. And then having Trevor Chase is always wonderful as well.
That's awesome. Another thing, with a lot of these rumors, it's just kind of like wait and see type things. But I think it's good that they're not necessarily redoing it, but they're actually following the family as if it was growing up and kind of going through the same thing. Ed Helms is a great choice. I don't know if he necessarily looks like Rusty. But
no,
whatever.
Probably not at all. but I think he can play the character very well.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I think he has the awkwardness about him and the sincerity about him where he wants to do good, but he always messes up. Kind of like what Chevy Chase went through. Yeah. I think he has that in him, definitely. And they said Chris Hemsworth wanted to do a comedy for a long, long time, and now he wants to jump on board. And I'm a big, 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 big fan of Charlie Day. Yeah. So
it's all good news. All right, Louis, wrap up movie news so we can get into the review of As Above, So Below. What else you got for us?
This is big, in my opinion. So it should be everyone's opinion that this is big news. This is a game changer.
All right.
This is a game changer. Now, hopefully this is very, 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 very true. There's been reports that Quentin Tarantino, he's gearing up for his Hateful Eight. He's in talks to sign Jennifer Lawrence to star in the Hateful Eight. Wow.
That is big news.
That is huge news.
Jennifer Lawrence in a Tarantino movie.
This is a game changer right here. The potential for this is beyond compare, honestly, because from Silver Linings Playbook, Oscar, check. American Hustle, nomination, check. To now this, with the Hunger Games whole finale going on in the middle, going on to spew dialogue written by Tarantino in a Western. Hello. This is crazy. I hope this is true. I hope this gets done. And again, when you think of Tarantino, you think of guys, you think of male, you think of testosterone. Besides Kill Bill, besides Uma Thurman, he doesn't really write female characters too much. Mm-hmm. So to have him and Inglourious Bastard, because he did pretty good with Sosasana and the other one, what's her name? I can't believe anyways, I'm going to get back on that name. So to have an opportunity to write for Jennifer Lawrence and have a female character at the center of Hateful Eight or a big part of Hateful Eight, that's big news.
That's huge for her career. And as we said, she is the queen of diversity. So I'm really interested to see. I think that'd be awesome. I think it'd be really great for her career because then she really would be all over the place. Talk about like building a strong female character. Quentin Tarantino really like made Uma Thurman like the strong, so that could be very, very good for Jennifer Lawrence's career. Not to say that she needs
it. Yeah.
But very, very interesting. So wow, but it's not confirmed. This is just.
This is my sources. Collider right now
is just saying that it's in talks.
That Tarantino and Jennifer Lawrence are in talks for her to sign on for the Hateful Eight.
All right.
And the only part they know of is supposed to be Daisy, and she's like a prisoner.
Very interesting. So well, let's hope we see it happen.
Yeah, this is like I said, this is a game changer. This is so exciting. I want to see this film now. I want to see her in the role now. And to clarify, I was talking about Diane Kruger.
Okay. All right. Well,
great.
That is something we'll have to see unfold. Lou will, of course, keep us posted and let us know what's going on. So now to quickly review quickly get into our review of As Above, So Below.
Hate that title.
Louis hates the title. I don't know why. I don't think it's that bad of a title.
Hey, bro! I'm gonna say As Above, So Below. You want some? Excuse you?
Did you see the new horror film As Above, So Below?
It doesn't work.
Okay, so
anyways, continue.
Let me break down what As Above, So Below is. Directed by John Eric Dowdle. He directed Quarantine and Devil. It was written by his brother Drew. It's a story about a group of explorers who are looking for this legendary stone that has to do with it has healing powers and the ability to possibly create the Fountain of Youth, as they try to explain. And during their search, they realize that this stone must be in the catacombs of Paris. So that in their journey, they have to break into the catacombs. Well, have to go to an area where the catacombs aren't tourable. And go down. And as they go down, they realize that this stone might be at the doorway to hell.
Ooh.
I honestly, catacombs alone, you couldn't get me there. To be like, hey, you want to go look at this giant grave? No, I'm good, thanks. But they literally have to sneak in and go through and climb through small surfaces or areas. So
you're mine if you're doing that. And especially you're in Paris. There's so many other things you could be doing in Paris right now besides going through the catacombs. But
the main character is named Scarlett Marlowe, played by Perdita Weeks, and her father was one of the main historians, and who said this exists. Everyone thought he was crazy and ended up killing himself. So it was her duty to find this stone and prove to the world. It is a found footage horror film, something that we've seen quite some time, or quite often, and I think found footage works in some cases and doesn't. And I don't mean in certain movies, but I just mean in general. In every movie, I think there's moments where it's like, wow, I'm glad that was found footage. And then other times I'm like, what is going on? Stop it. That happens in this film. But basically, my review is, basically what I have to say is, before Louis asks me some questions I'm sure he has to ask, is I think the movie had a very great first act. I think it's very interesting. It's a very fun Indiana Jones type horror movie. And the thought of going into the catacombs and searching for this stone and these characters and making a documentary and them having to face these very scary warnings and all these things and just the buildup of suspense is what really, really intrigued me. However, it's when the last 20 minutes occur, it takes the Paranormal Activity formula. And if you don't know what I mean, if you've seen a Paranormal Activity, the first hour and 15, hour and 10 minutes is all build-up. We're filming something creepy. Okay, something creepier happens. Little scare, creepy. Everything wild goes. That's what the formula is. It is all build-up, and then the last 20 minutes is all chaos and wild and scary, and even sometimes it becomes a slasher. And that was my review for one of the Paranormal Activities. Actually, I think two of them because they're so similar. I'm kind of confused. But it's all build up and then it's just like a crazy slasher movie. This movie does the same thing. I was so intrigued the first half, and then it just goes into this crazy slasher. At first, these characters get haunted by their past. So, for instance, one character's brother died in a cave by drowning. And he holds that haunting because he went to go get help and he couldn't get there enough in time. And he starts seeing his brother. Another character, you are led to believe something happens. I don't want to spoil it because then it kind of gives away what happens to him. But all these things happen and then it just stops. And then there's just a creepy guy and a creepy girl who go around and start killing off these guys. In my review, I talk about Sidney Lumet and his classic 12 Angry Men. In 1957, a director was able to realize the power of space and how movies, major thing is that we can manipulate space. And they're in caves. They're crawling through holes in the wall, in the ground of graves of thousands of people in these Paris catacombs. And only one time do they use the space and claustrophobia to their advantage. And I thought that was the film's major, major mistake, because it failed to use those caves. And the thought of being stuck in a cave to me is terrifying because I think of being locked in or wedged in a small area. They used it one time and it's so early in the film that it doesn't have the same effect. But I was like, you could make in 12 Angry Men, he made the set smaller and used closer camera angles to make us feel stuck together and claustrophobic. And I don't feel that. They're in these caves and they're in these big rooms and it just really kind of doesn't work. I feel like it was so original, and then it takes us to this nonsense of just a repeat of what we've seen so many times before. I was just so disappointed that it was going so well and just kind of go to something that's so unoriginal.
Well, they should have taken a cue from Danny Boyle and filmed like a 127 hours type film.
Yeah, exactly. That works. But 12 Angry Men is a great example too. I mean, that should have been like one of the greatest techniques, and instead it's skeletons and scary dark-haired girls running around. That is what's supposed to be scary, and it's something we've seen so many times. I don't know. So
are they getting haunted by demons?
You're led to, well, see, it's the thing, like, ghosts? You really don't know. Like, there's one character that kind of looks like a Grim Reaper, and it's like, I don't know if that's a Grim Reaper, and it's supposed to be demons. Like, there's a point, spoiler if you don't want to know anything, where they reach a thing that says, move forth, whoever enters, do not have hope. I forget the saying, but they say that's what's written on the gates of hell.
Yeah. And
they say, on their bellies, they will crawl to the darkness, and then they have to crawl through this hole where it says that. So I was like, assuming they go to hell, and then everything's flipped upside down, and everything's just really, really creepy, and that's when everyone starts getting killed off. Once they go to hell, that's when like all the bad stuff happens. It's just a pure example of horror films trying to be different and then following a similar formula. Like, I feel it happens so much in horror films where these writers and directors really, really want to make something different and original, and they do. And then I think either, they feel like they have to do certain things, they feel like they have to follow a certain formula towards the end, and either it be maybe studios or whatever it may be, they end up following the same formula. And I'm just tired of seeing the same thing. So yeah, I really can't explain it much more than that. Just the fact that it goes into a paranormal movie. If I was to show you the paranormal movie and then show you this, you would see the definite identicals in formula and how it works. But I mean, I was really intrigued by this whole their past haunts them, and then that just kind of stops happening. It's like, oh, okay,
they passed that level.
Well, like they show it, and like some characters, like literally their spirits haunt these characters. And then, like, some they'll just see flashes, then it's over. But there are some really creepy moments in the film. I am not going to not give that film that. But overall, it just felt like it went to a total different direction. Like, I was so in it, and then boom, it made a left, and I was like, what just happened?
Well, that's typical from this type of movie.
Yeah,
I guess you could tell. And especially track record shows that 9 times out of 10, a film like this is going to be generic like that, like its predecessors.
But it was, and that's what's sad, is just that it was so interesting until that like turn. Like I was interested. I was surprised because I was, most horror films are kind of like, I don't know, and I was into it, and it just kind of,
pass.
Yeah. It was just like going in such an interesting direction. And I didn't even think they needed to do the whole slasher killing thing or even demon thing. Like, I was really interested in just these granted, and also these characters, the only identifiable thing about these characters is the event that happened to them in the past. So the only really identifiable characteristic about this one character is that his brother drowned, and we should feel sad for him. This main character's father hung himself. Let's we could sympathize with that. That's the only characteristic they have. They are flat and forgettable, like nobody's business. So
and the performances are.
Performances aren't anything spectacular. It's found footage, so a lot of it's just first person. It's like I don't need them. They're just it's basically I'm just watching first person on what's in the cave. Really quick though, if you guys want to know, you could find this in. It says, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter." That's what's written on the gates of hell. Yeah. But anyway, it was nothing spectacular. I don't really have much to say about it. I would say it is worth a watch just for the first act, but don't be expecting anything. If you can watch it free on Netflix, great. If you're going to pay for it, I wouldn't recommend it. So that's what I'm going to have to say about that movie. But I thought it could have been really interesting, and I'm really disappointed how it turned out. What you going to do?
Not surprised. What are you going to do? With a title like that, I don't know. What do you expect?
Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. I wish I had more to say about the movie, but the only thing I could really because I went and saw it with this man's family, and all I could say was, I wish
no one liked it.
Everyone was kind of on the same page as me, and they get to a point where they stop really explaining things, and things just start happening in the movie. It just and then so there's two main characters. Granted, you could tell there's maybe they're an old friends or whatever. Towards 3/4 of the movie, they try to throw in this whole love little angle. And it's come on, man. A lot of it feels like an afterthought. A lot of it feels like they were thinking about it after the fact and just throwing things in there. I don't know. I felt like whoever wrote the beginning, and then just someone took over and totally changed things up. But I don't know. If you're into horror films and you don't mind watching some bad ones every now and then, because if you're a horror fan, chances are you do, give this one a watch. But I think that's going to wrap it up for this week. Next week, me and Louie, of course, will be talking about the world of motion pictures again for our 120th episode. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jake Toronto.
Louie Corazon.
And please continue chasing cinema.